Hello, welcome to the Daily Nature Journal. Today I'm starting out at the donkey sanctuary and I'm going to be walking home from here along the southwest coast path and doing a little bit of nature journaling along the way. It's a beautiful bright sunny day on the coast of East Devon, so I hope I'm not going to get too hot, but there's plenty of beach stops along the way to cool off. Start of the blackberries now. We're starting to get to that stage in the summer now where the berries are starting to form. We can see glimpses of autumn on the way. This rowan has already got some berries beginning. This beautiful meadow, the grasses have been left to grow long. It's full of butterflies and lots of self-heal here, which is great for pollinators. Now I'm going to follow this path all the way down to the sea. There's so many butterflies in here. It's the time of the meadow brown now. This is an amazing spot for butterflies. There must be hundreds here. Loads of bindweed. It's in July that the bindweed really starts to grow and starts scrambling up everything else. This is one of my favourite wildflowers of all. This is tufted vetch. Look at the different colours that you get there on that single stem of flower. And these beautiful little delicate leaves. Like many vetches, they scramble up other plants and they use them for support. Is there any better display of pink and purple for an artist than tufted vetch? This is a nice one, St. John's Wort, the famous healing plant. So I'm pretty much in my element here in the meadow. I've seen some of my favourite wildflowers and butterflies. The highlight is the marbled white and the tufted vetch. So I'm going down to the level of the beach now, and then I've got to climb this cliff behind me. This is Western Beach. And this is the cliff on the other side. The temptation is very high to stop and take a swim here. But I think I'm going to wait until the next stop. I want to get a few miles behind me. The sea is so flat and beautiful today. It's very inviting. This is wild marjoram. It smells beautiful. Here's some agrimony going beautifully by the sea. So here on the beach I've just made a simple list of the species that I've seen so far coming down through the meadow. And I'm sat right by a whole load of feverfew. It's a burnet moth. Look at my red face. This hill is huge. Come from right down there. And guess what? So I needed a really big rest when I got to the top of that hill back there. This is the wildflower meadow at Weston. It's already been cut, unfortunately. It's a great place to see cowslips in the spring, but they do keep it cut and take the top away to keep it nutrient poor. Now we're on the top of the cliffs. It's a long flat walk, which I kind of need right now. Look at this incredible web. Some sort of funnel spider. In fact, you can see the spider right in the funnel down there at the bottom. Lots of bits that have been caught as well. It's an incredible structure. There's some arum stems. It's starting to turn orange and red now. And here's a wonderful bit of set aside at the edge of the hayfield. And it's buzzing with life. It's full of knapweed and hawkbits and butterflies. You see the areas of the fields that have been left wild for the set-aside allotment. They've got the best colour. That's going to be full of charlock and bedstraws and ragwort and various wild carrots. So this is a somewhat less interesting section. The grass has already been cut. I kind of find myself missing those meadows full of butterflies. So I've got a little bit further to go along this top of this cliff. And then I'm going to be dropping down into Branscombe, and I'm going to be really looking forward to having a swim there and some lunch before carrying on and heading home. Just look at that sea. There's barely any swell, barely any wind. It's just a mirror for the sky. It's just beautiful. Lots of teasels flowering here. They're mostly known for their dried heads during the winter, but they're very beautiful when they're flowering. As I want to do, I've lost the shoes. You start to get hot feet, and for me there's no coming back from hot feet. Not until getting in the sea anyway. Try to avoid the cow dung and walk on this lovely grass barefoot. This cliff top here, Berry Cliff Camp, it's one of my favourites along the walk. There's a lot of meadow vegetation, and I remember here one year, a couple of years ago, there were just clouds and clouds of meadow brown butterflies. You were just walking through butterflies. Though there don't seem to be as many here this year, it's still one of my favourite places. Here it's been snowing thistle seeds. Here is my favourite spot on the whole section. And this bench, it's just, I spent so many happy times here nature journaling, sketching, meditating, taking time. And this is the view that you can enjoy. Well worth a visit, don't you think? So while I'm up here, I've taken time to add to my list everything that I've seen on this next stretch of the path. This can be quite a useful way to nature journal actually, when you're out and you're trying to make progress along a path, and if you've got time to bring a book with you and just make a few notes of everything you see, that can really help later on when you want to remember some of the details. It can also help you if you take photos of anything that you can't identify and make a note of anything that you've photographed to look up later on. Put my shoes back on going down the slopes here. It's really not fun to walk on. I find that the cliff tops, especially in the summer, they're so lovely to walk on, baked mud, dry grass, but because in the winter you get all the erosion coming down these slopes, it wears all of that nice soil away and leaves just these pointy rocks. So now we've got to go down here, and it's a long wooded walk into Branscombe and the lovely beach. It's a nice little collection of flowering silverweed and tormentor. It's so much cooler here in the woods. It feels like much fresher air. Racing along now, desperate to get to the beach. This is one of my favourite meadows, and we can see that there's some Viper's bugloss up here. It's a beautiful blue flower. There's some Agrimony, and this one which I'm unfamiliar with. So that's one to note down in my journal, take a photo of and identify later on. Okay, I've arrived at Branscombe. I'm very hot, and I think I'll take you folks for a swim. Now I've had lunch and I'm heading back towards home. Decided to take the beach route and then go up the side of the cliff. It's a shorter and steeper ascent. This is lovely. There's loads of this purple loosestrife here, and Fleabane as well. So this is the loosestrife, and then this yellow here is the Fleabane, and they're growing right on the edge of the pebbles here. So that's my route up to the cliff top through the beautiful Hook and Cliffs, which will be looking really different at this time of year. But I think it's been a long trudge down the beach on the pebbles, so one more swim to cool off before getting up there. So back out the water, and the trick on a hot day when you get out the water is not to dry off too much. So I'm going to carry on walking. I've got a really steep ascent next, so throw some clothes on and up these cliffs behind me. If you enjoy this sort of video, outdoor exploring, nature journaling outside, a bit of self-inflicted hill torture, you know you can find a whole load more of it on my Patreon. And this sort of extended longer video is, I've got a whole library of it up there. So if that would interest you, check out the link in the description below. It's as if I never went in the water from up here. Sweaty and hot again. Can't wait to get over to beer. This is it, made it to the top. It's seriously amazing when the sea's like this. It's just like one great big lake. It's so flat. It's beautiful. And now we're looking back at home. The little beach here in the front is bare, and I'm going to walk around the front of those cliffs if I can get round before the tide comes in, and then back along the beach to home. So I really hope you've enjoyed coming along with me on this trip between Weston and Beer. I'm going to continue my walk now and just finish off those last few miles nice and quietly without the camera. So if you enjoyed what you saw today, you know you can find more of it on my Patreon, and I'll leave further links in the description as well to other videos that might interest you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.